All right, everyone. It's been a little while since put up a interview pod. Let's call it a podcast or just a recorded interview at the moment. But since Europe had one of the tour members who raced over in the French Grand Prix, Jack Latham, hit me up, and we had a bit of a chat, and we thought it'd be a great idea to get him onto the podcast and just have a chat from the man himself and hear a lot about, from his perspective, what Europe was like, what racing French Grand Prix is like, and also what racing World Triathlon in Europe is like, and all the other things in between that people won't necessarily think about. And Jack's a really good guy to have on the podcast because he fits right into that point of where we're trying to help with the post-high school athletes through to under 23s, help keep them viable in the sport and keep them engaged and progressing along the pathway to elite status. So, Jack, how you going, mate? How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Having a lot of fun time here in the cold weather back home now from Europe in Tassie. So it's been all right, but yeah, thanks for having me on, Dan. I'm very excited for this chat. It's going to be really fun, I reckon.
Yeah, no worries, mate. No, thanks for your time. So how long have you been back now? And obviously it's coming from Europe summer to Tassie winter. Must be a bit different.
Yeah, I would say maybe I think just about a week, maybe a little bit more. I got in, I think, early morning last Thursday. It was quite harsh, I guess, the travel from, it was Prague, then to Dubai. Had a 2-hour layover in Dubai from the 6-hour flight in Prague, and then the 11-hour journey from Dubai to Melbourne. That stung a bit. I couldn't get to sleep at all. I had a layover from Melbourne. Once I landed in Melbourne from Dubai to go to not Launceston, Devonport Airport, and my layover in Melbourne to then go to Devonport overnight. I was in one of the horrible, crappy holiday inns where like the room's tiny, you don't have much, there's no TV, there's no like food or anything, and got in about 11 p.m. and I was like, this is absolutely horrible, and I couldn't sleep, so I just stayed up all night watching TikTok, and then rolled out 6 a.m. the next day, and got home pretty sound, and then from that day went straight back into the work boots to get back lifeguarding on the pool, because I looked at my bank account and went, holy moly, I'm broke. So decided to get straight back into it. So yeah, the travel was all right, but I'm good.
Back to reality. It's always the way.
Yeah, back to reality, and just seeing all the usual faces, seeing seeing swim coach on pool deck, seeing family, friends, bosses from work. So it's been good to see everyone again, but yeah, the weather's just been horrible, and small town Tasmania, not a whole lot goes on around here. So
yeah,
not the great limelights of Grenoble in France, that's for sure. So it's been all right though.
Yeah, it's always the way. Speaking of which, Grenoble in France, one of the reasons we got you on the potty was have a bit more of an in-depth chat about French Grand Prix and everything around that. So, you were one of 6 lads we had on the tour in Grenoble, and we had some good times and everything. But let's hit the rewind button. You're obviously a lot more educated on what it's all about now, having been there for 1 month in France and then another month in Scotland. What did you, if you can think back to what you thought French Grand Prix was about, your perception on how you would go over there based on how you'd raced in Australia. What was your mindset back then before you jumped on the plane?
So I remembered when the Oztri Academy Instagram, it first started up, and I remember when the applications came out about it, and I went, holy moly, that's really different. French Grand Prix, like, I don't know, there's a whole like different perception I feel on it, because it's not World Triathlon racing. You're not racing for your country. You're racing for a small regional town or city or place in France that literally no one knows about. And I find it very interesting that, like, as an Australian or anyone that is non-French, you can go race for this little French team and get paid and race. And when you look from a world tri perspective, you see like, oh, 60, 70 people, that's a lot of people. But then when you look at the French, they go, no problem. We'll just put 100 people on the start line of all levels, of all different backgrounds, and just let them race. And it seemed so different, so interesting, engaging compared to racing back home in Australia. Like, you could do an Oceania Cup and there would be, you'd say 50 to 55 people max. And it would be the same top 5 as it would be every other year, except chuck in like 2 or 3 Kiwis that would like try and run up for second or third, and that would be it. French Grand Prix, like I said before, you've got nearly 100 people, one pontoon, going 300 meters straight to another buoy, and you could be in like the 4th chase pack and still be like 30 seconds down from the leaders. And the difference from winning an Oceania Championship from a juniors perspective, oh, cool, you get to go to Junior Worlds, you're now the Oceania champion, yada, 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 whatever. If you win one single French Grand Prix, even in a Div 2, bang, you've got it all sorted. Like, I think you'd get maybe a couple €100 if from your team to win, and you're racing against WTCS and World Cup level athletes. And like I said, you've just got so many bodies around you, so many people to watch out, and you're coming at it from a team perspective. You're not coming at it from an individual. You got to perform for the team. You got to perform for the team manager. You got to perform for the town or the region or the place that you're representing in France. So that really, I think it struck me as being very different from Australian racing, and quite interesting to the fact that it's so different from what we have in Australia that I thought, how can I not pass up on the opportunity? So I thought this would be such a groundbreaking like experience for me to then push forward into my junior career. Like, I'm fresh out of high school. I'm 19 now. I've got a job working as a lifeguard at the local pool in Devonport, like 15 minutes from my house. I thought, if I can just holler and just save up all this money from working over in the summer and just put this all into this one French trip, it'd be crazy. I feel I'd get substantial strides in my career trying to progress, and it would be different. It would be fun. And it's like a free trip to France to go and race triathlon. Like, I don't think I could have passed up on the opportunity. So it really, really liked the idea of it. And it was just so different.
Yeah. You covered that pretty well. What were some of your, like, surely coming from Tasmania and heading to the other side of the world into the big bad world of Euro triathlon, and pretty much to the epicenter of triathlon, did you have any like major concerns or sort of fears about the trip in general, whether it was the racing or stuff outside of the racing?
No, I felt more to the fact that I think just coming from a small town in Tasmania, like, everything will be very different once you get out of Tassie, basically. Like, and Europe is such a far land away, and the whole culture over in France and in Europe is just so different from Australia. Like, they're on the other side of the road. They got their own different currency. They got their own different language. They got all these different things and how they operate as a society and life, and their culture is just so different from Australia. That's the other thing that also fascinated me, was like, cool, I could go from the small little town in Tassie, come race triathlon in Europe and experience a whole like culture, like just a whole different culture just come wearing into my face. And I really liked the fact that like the racing and all that was really cool, but being in another country along with other mates of mine and other Aussies and experiencing this whole different landscape of how life was and just how Europe operates compared differently to Australia. And that's what I really liked. Not just like with the training and racing, but just like everyday life and what it entailed and what we'd get up to. So I really liked the fact that it was just so far away from home, and I was able to experience something so different that obviously I've got so many stories to tell from it. And I think just stories and life skills that you can go to these different places and then come out at the end of it as a more knowledgeable or better person, so to speak.
Yeah, nice one, mate. So if you can, we progress forward a little bit. I know what I saw on day one when I went to pick his up from the train station. Saw some very tired, jet-lagged bodies getting off the train with 10 tons of luggage and bikes and everything. Do you want to, like, if we sort of get to the, I guess, the first turning point of the trip for you? So maybe if you put yourself back in your shoes when you arrived at the train station, and, what was life like for the first initial bit? Because we had about, I think it would have been 3 or 4 days before we were in the van on the way to Albi for the first race.
The pig.
In the pig. What was just talk us through a little bit of like what your first impressions were, a little bit maybe about the small amount of training, the initial, maybe even like the initial contact we had with the local team and the coaches and athletes, and then bring us up to sort of your first biggest learning point from the trip.
Yeah, I remember the day that we, me and my good buddy Josh Fletcher, one of the other athletes from WA, when we arrived, we were both pretty tired, but I don't think our tiredness was as strong as our excitement, and just the fact that we were there, like the fact that we were in France, in Grenoble. You see all these massive mountains around you and no one's speaking a word of English, and all the signs are all in French, and everything's on the other side of the road, and we're just trying to navigate just through the Grenoble station to try and find where you were, checking our phone, going up on Google and carrying our luggage and trying to make sure that doesn't get in the way of anyone. Everything smells like smoke. But yeah, once we got there, we saw the mighty pig and yourself in all of its glory. Then who else came along? Zane, Cooper, Ali, basically, and Crud. Everyone that came, that was on from the other flights as well from Dubai.
Because I think I took you and Josh back to the house first and then came back. Because you were on a separate flight.
Yeah, because they came in differently, and then Fletcher's bike bag was being an absolute maggot to put into the actual back. I remember because his bike bag wasn't a ski-con one, so it was different. But yeah, I think the first day was sick. Like, it was really hot. I remember the afternoon that we had settled everything and we got everything done with this massive house that we had. It was so sick. Once we had sorted all that out, me, Chris, and Fletch, we went for a little jog, post-travel jog, probably the worst jog of my life. My heart rate was like at 160, 170. It was absolutely horrible, and it was so hot. I think I did like the first 10 minutes with a shirt on, and then none of us had shirts on. It was that hot. And I just remembered, like, the run was on this little farm trek road. Most of it was uphill, which was horrible. And it was like a horse trek road. So all these horses would be lining up and just walking down, and we got like absolutely horrified just seeing these massive like French horses and these little French women on the top of them. And like the first day, because we were so excited, we're just saying bonjour to everyone and trying to see if we get a response. And everyone, and all the French would be like, "Who's this idiot saying hello?" And like, it's just so cool, like just seeing the village, like everything. It's like, it's seriously, it's like what it seems in the movies and in television and in books, like these small little rural European French villages, how the houses are, like the schools, everything around it, and running on like their rugby field and just seeing all the mountains. It was picturesque. It really was. And I think I adapted like really well to the time zone and to the temperature, and jet lag didn't hit me. I remember the first night I knocked out really quickly, and I got into the groove and everything really quickly. And I remembered our first open water swim. That was pretty fun, doing it off that massive lake. It was freezing in there, but it was good. And I think I got used to everything really quickly. I didn't feel that something was missing or nothing was wrong. And the one thing that I do felt was a bit hard, which I found really funny at the end of it, was that like once we did our first swim session with the French, which was pretty cool. We're all anticipating our first swim session, thinking, "Oh, it's going to be brutal. They're going to put us to the sword. They're going to kill us." And I just remembered that the pool, it was just so different, and the whole like facility was different. Have to take out. When you go to these European or mainly French pools, you got to take your shoes off before you enter in. I remembered me and Fletch, we went walking in with our shoes on, and we got yelled at this French guy straight off the bat having shoes on. And he's saying in French, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Pardon, parlez-vous anglais? Je suis Australian." Like, "Hello, sorry, I speak English. I'm Australian." They're just like, "Oh, you take shoes off, you put it in the locker." I was like, "All right, fine." And then they'd hose our feet down, and just the whole landscape of how the pool and the facility was. It was really different from the ones in Australia. And working at a pool, I thought it was quite interesting to see how their landscape of like an aquatic center looked. And it took me a little while to get used to the whole tumble turning on the other side of the wall. And I don't know, it took me forever to find how to swim again. I felt like I was drowning the first couple of days, but yeah, it was quite easy. I felt I managed the jet lag and living in France really well. Like everything was stupidly cheap over there. You get like a massive box of baguettes and pastries and all the French national foods and cuisine for like, I don't know, €6, not even sometimes. So getting groceries wasn't a problem. And I remembered we all hustled in our own money that we all saved up before coming in. We all said what we'd pay for together and what we'd pay for separately. So I felt that was really good. And we all shared our food, which was quite funny. Just one whole little happy family of boys sharing our food.
I think that was a good thing about having a group stay in the one sort of location, was you could do big group dinners and things like that rather than just sort of snacking and not eating as well as probably what you could have.
Yeah. And because Grenoble's right on the border of Italy, it's like 3 hours from Milan. We spent most nights eating pizza and pasta and spaghetti and whatnot.
There was no shortage of pizza trucks, eh?
No, there was no shortage of
very Italian influence.
Yeah. There was no shortage of anything that wasn't Italian. And first few days was great. And then the travel day to Albi was pretty fun. And I think it was like a 9-hour journey or something.
I don't know what happened, but on the way back we had the highways and everything, but on the way there it took us through villages and up mountains, and it was probably like an 8-hour drive.
Yeah, 8-hour drive across most of France. Got to see a lot of it, and just like the chaos of it. Like I thought driving on mainland Australia was bad with all the traffic. The French are worse. None of them can indicate. They're only small little mummy granny Peugeot cars. Everyone's going left or right. And like I said, everything's on the other side of the road, so it's really different. There's like little stop checks in like every single town, city, region of France. You have to stop. Oh. I swear we if it wasn't for those stop checks, like to pay money for a ticket and everything, it could have been maybe a 4-hour drive instead of 9.
Yeah,
with all those stops we had to do. Those were horrible. Then we got there. It was really cool. Different as massive medieval looking buildings and churches and cathedrals, cobblestones everywhere. We got there really late into what ended up actually being the recon. So we missed the swim recon, I remembered. And because we're literally racing in this massive like highland castle, everything was just such a pain to like, you get your bike, you get your gear, you get your luggage and everything. You got to go up the mountain. Oh crap, no one's there. You got to go back down the castle, then you go back up. You're trying to call the coach, figure out where everyone is. There's hundreds and hundreds of people, all different languages, mostly French.
Well, there probably would have been close to 1,000, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon.
If you think about it, you've got 4 races, 2 in Div 1, 2 in Div 2, and there's 100 in each. Yeah. So there's about 400 athletes plus staff and family, and then the regular
all that stuff. Yeah, media and exactly. So there was just lots of tourists, lots of coaches, lots of athletes, lots of everyone there. You don't know what is going on. And we got down to the swim recon, and I saw Zane and Josh. They got there so much earlier than us, and I was so jealous that they just got into hop into water and train with their team. And me and Chris were just sitting there with our luggage and our bikes with you, and we're trying to contact Loic, the Rans coach, and trying to figure out where to go. And there was like 2 or 3 other Aussies that we saw, and like they didn't even know what was going on. And yeah, it was just crazy. And I remembered we finally figured out where they were. We located where they were, and then they just left us. Like they knew we were there.
I don't care.
They didn't care. They just walked off with us. I was like, oh, that's all right then. Thanks, mate. And then they came back. They gave us our kit. And I remember that was the race that Chris wasn't allowed to race because they got some other guy to come race in last minute. And the first thing, because Loic can't speak English, he comes up to Crud and he gets one of the French girls that knows English to translate for him, sorry, mate, you can't race because we've got this other guy that's going to come race. Straight off the bat, you can't race.
And not
he
even
gives
high.
them all the gear. Yeah, not even high. Just, you can't race. Sorry about that. You'll race the next race. And then we've got all the other athletes. I remember there was Jess Heaps, who's from Scotland, that I got to know very well and knew from youth games. And Tom Tyler, who also trains out in Stirling, he was one of the other Brits. So we got along well with them because they were the only English-speaking people. And then the Frenchies were all right. They were kind of weird, to be honest, but I mean, it's their team, so they were all right. And we got used to everything really quickly, and we went to go swim. And I just remembered when we were loading our stuff into the back of the van, and you're like, all right, you guys good? And like, the coach just goes, strip. I went, what do you mean? He's like, strip, we're going to the water. I just went to Chris and went, what is going on? We traveled 9 hours to come to this part of France in the middle of this random town. And there's just all these French people just riding and staring at us. So we just got our funky trunks on in the middle of the street. In the middle of the street. You're just there like, you good to go? I was like, he's getting me bar-ass naked out in the middle of the street for us to go swim. And at the end of it, we weren't allowed to go swim because they finished the recon. So
yeah,
it was just chaotic.
I remember it being like 35 degrees, and the coach was like, all right, wetsuits on, you're going for a swim.
Yeah. And then all for us to not even get the water. I was the only one that hopped in the water. I got about 2 strokes in and just hear this French guy in like this buggy. No! I'm out. I took it off and was sweating. And then we did a run around the castle, around the run course. It was really cool. Cobbles everywhere. You're running in these little tight-knit streets around these shops and houses, and there's just people everywhere. And since all the other teams are still there trying to figure out what the run course is, they were also doing it. And it was just like all these people there. It was so cool and different. And
big atmosphere.
I think the atmosphere was really cool. And it's not like any other race. Like Australia, when are you ever going to get a race course where there's cobbles? Like these small, tiny European streets
racing around a castle.
Racing around this castle, and it's just these small streets with cobbles everywhere. And most of it's like downhill, and it's just different. You're running past all these French monuments, and it's really cool. It's very different. And I was just soaking it all in and just going, wow, you wouldn't get this anywhere back home.
It was a fair bit of sensory overload for like the first race, eh?
Yeah, I think like because it was the opening race of that series, and it was also all of our first times in Europe, and just we got so much exposure, it just went bang straight into our face. And I think I just said to Chris, like, there's just so much to take in. Like, this is so different from what we're used to, and just the whole how the French run everything and how chaotic it is, and that nothing is like on set on time. Like, we'll like to the coach, we'll meet here at this location, and then we ended up seeing them like 2 hours later in a half street, and me and Chris are half naked trying to get ready to go under the water, and all these French people are laughing at us like, these dumb. It was just so different and just so funny, and just it was really cool. I mean, it was not a lot to say. I think you had to be there to feel it.
Yeah, definitely. So talk about the race briefly in itself. And like, I probably know where you're going to go with this, but the first kind of realization or big lesson learned from doing your sort of first big Europe race.
Yeah, so first race in Europe, we went to the coaling room and all the teams and that. So 5 athletes, I think it's 11 teams, so maybe even 12 or 13 teams. And we were in Div 2, so we're all fighting for promotion. All these real dog-like teams that just want to get promoted so they don't feel sorry for themselves. And when you're a French, and this is the thing about the French racing, when you are a French athlete racing for your French team and you're not in Div 1, there is so much pressure and so much pride put on yourself to perform. I remembered one of the Scottish boys that trained out in Stirling who was racing for Vitrolles, who was the only non-French on the Vitrolles team, and they just got relegated, and they were put in the newspaper in their local town. It was read as horrible, forgotten triathlon team, can't even get promoted in the first race. All these athletes are horrible. We need to re-sign the team. So there is that much pressure, that
like
you're
NRL
getting.
footy.
Oh, yeah, it is.
AFL.
It's like there's such a massive media focus and so much pressure put on the French to perform at these Grand Prix races, and it's just Division 2. So we're in the calling room. I'm pooing myself. We go on to this massive pontoon. There is like nearly 100 athletes on this massive pontoon. Looking around, you're wondering, there's the boys out there. You're underneath this massive bridge, and all the athletes are talking tactics. And I just remember saying to Tom, like, "You ready?" And I was just like, "Yeah, let's go for it." And bang, gun goes off. Dive was absolutely horrible. Landed on my face, went bang straight into the water. Try to find feet. It was like a washing machine for like 200 meters. And I remember the swim exit because you had to do 2 laps. So you would swim out, do a lap, come back, and there'd be a middle section where this other pontoon is. You come out onto this other pontoon halfway across on the swim course, jump back in, and you just got like so many people around. You're coming out of the water with like there's bodies all around you. You're swimming again for the last lap. Do that lap, come back in. Sorry that this explanation's horrible. And then once you finish the swim, you got to run up to the castle. We're running up to the castle. I remember I passed Zane. I saw him. It was gassed. It just going up the hill. Like so was I. And I was like, holy crap, it's hot outside. And you just got all these people running up, coming back, running up, coming back, and it's just all these people and the crowd. You couldn't hear yourself. It was like there's people shouting in French, and I could hear Ali with a massive Aussie flag waving. And I went, holy moly! And they were flying fumes in the air like flares, and there was
flares,
just like pink all in the sky. It was like something out of the Tour de France. And like you just grab your bike and you're going out cobble roads, and the bike course was something else. It was so cool. It was. I felt like I was racing the Tour de France. There was just bodies everywhere, everyone shouting in French. People are taking these massive turns and, dive bombing and going into these massive corners at like 45 degrees. And I don't know if it's just the French or it's just European racing, but I remembered when I raced in Malaysia and I thought that was hectic because of just how it was just different racing there, but it's a whole new level, like just bike etiquette and bike racing standards in Europe and especially in France. Like they don't care. They will do whatever it takes to get at the front, and they don't care what they do, how they do it. They will do it no matter what. They'll go like nearly 60 Ks into this small little corner on like a 90-degree angle, going downhill, no brakes, no nothing, and you're just sitting behind. And you're just going, what the hell are these guys doing? You think there's going to be a crash? I remembered it was me, Fletch, and Zane in this group, and I remembered we both had decent swims, but we were third pack out of the water. We weren't even second. We're in this third little chase pack, and we could see the second pack. And I remember I had one of the other Rance athletes, Ben, he was one of the other French athletes on my team. He was just screaming, go, 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 go. And he kept doing these massive watt bombs off the front. And I was just like, this is so different. Like, this is just absolutely crazy. And you got these athletes going to and from, taking turns. And like, I took a couple turns at the front, and it was just crazy. Like the crowd, the course. And I remember the second lap when you come down. So there's like these 2 parts. So there's the bridge, and then there's the main castle area where the transition is. And then there's this other part of town that leads from the bridge to the castle. You come down the hill from the bridge onto the main castle part. You climb up the castle. There was this French director, who was a race organizer, in the middle of the room going, stop it, stop it, stop it. And everyone's like on their brake, going bang, 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 bang. And it was because this guy crashed in the corner, and we all just had to ride around him. And there was just all these like French coaches and organizers just screaming, watch out for the guy who just crashed. And it was just so chaotic. And
Crazy.
then onto the run. I think I had a decent run. I think I ran, it was like 15:50. I think it was one of the fastest runs that I've done off the bike. And I think the course was a little short, but after the race, I was like, whoa, I'm pumped. I've ran quick. I've done well. I passed a lot of people. I felt I executed a decent race. First race done. So, and then I came back
But then we walked to the coach's van, hey, to get all your stuff.
Exactly. I came back to the coach's van to see Dan to get ready. And at this point, I'm pumped. I'm like, first race in Europe, top, whatever. I've done well. I ran off the bike. I swam decent. I rode pretty well. Boom. Great first race. Lots of exposure. And then Walt comes up to me and he just goes, you did shit. I went, whoa, what do you mean? And he goes, you did shit. Your position for Vichy we don't know yet. I went, what do you mean? I thought you said I was guaranteed 2 races. He goes, and he was like translating with Diego, who was the other coach, to you, and you were telling me what he was saying, and he was just like, your dive, horrible. He laughed at me and said, basically he said, I dive like a pussy. So I dive like a girl or something like that. And
I remember the word he used was, he's like, oh, you don't have heart.
Yeah, you don't have heart. That was it. You don't have heart. You don't have courage. And he just, I think he was just like saying, performance was shit. We've brought you all the way from Australia. You didn't perform. Chris, you're going to get a start at Vichy. He just kept, I remembered he'd ridicule me and then he'd look at Chris and go, you get Vichy.
Yeah,
you get
that.
Vichy. And he was just like, your dive was horrible. Your swim wasn't up to standard. You weren't in the front pack on the bike. Your run was okay, but you didn't have enough ground to pick up. And he points to Ben. He's like, Ben, he not do Vichy. And I look over. Ben is sobbing his eyes out. He's crying. He was on my bike pack and he did so much work. And he just goes, he doesn't race. And he was sobbing and crying in the van. I just went, holy crap, I might not be able to race this race that I've been guaranteed for 6 months nearly. And I just went, holy moly. And I remembered they left. And in the most like American movie possible.
It probably took every inch of your fiber to not strangle him, I think.
Yeah. He and at the time I remembered I was really angry. I was like, I put everything into this race. I did everything I could. I tried I threw up after the event.
Yeah, I've got the picture of
you've got the photo. I've got a photo
of
of me holding my throw up bag, and I put everything into that race. I did everything I could, and it's just like not good enough. We need to see better from you in the next few weeks of training. I'm going to get you on our training plan.
Yeah.
On our version of Training Peaks. I'm going to see how you progress over the next 3 weeks. And if you don't get better, you don't start Vichy. We've got plenty of other internationals that can take your spot. And I just went, holy crap. And I remember we were walking back to the van. I was sorry as you were just with me there and you had gotten food and you were tired and Ali was there. And I just remembered I just fully lashed out, swearing everything, saying what was wrong. And I remember Cooper had a stinker as well. So we were both just shouting and swearing and just like saying what is and what not. And then I remember just like on the ride home, we're just talking, chatting, because you got 5-6 hours to burn off. You got all this time to think and reflect on your race. I just went, this is what I came for. I came here to get my ass handed to me. I came to see what the level is like. And yeah, I got smoked. I got clipped out there. As Braden Mercer says, I got absolutely clipped out there. And it shows, like, not even a top 50, not even a second pack bike. And then you run 1550 on a short course, who cares? 1550, still not good enough. And I just went, holy moly, the level here is crazy. I remember one of the Escherol's athletes that we trained with, Louis P. He came 14th and he's 2006, and I think he ran like 1530. Still not even good enough for a top 10. 1530, that would get you a win in any junior Australian race.
Yeah,
like the depth.
Well, I think
that
Woodbury
one race
ran
alone.
1536 in Napier last year.
Yeah,
something like that.
And still, that doesn't get you a podium.
Yeah, I think like a couple big things, like key messages I took away from what you just said and from being over there as well was, firstly, like it's good to have other people to with you who also fail. You know, it's better to fail together. So you got that sort of support, share the hurt. Yep. And like the other big one was like consequences of racing.
Like you don't perform.
Yeah. In Australia, if it's all schools, if it's Oceania, if you come 20th or you have a bad race, usually
you still did really good. You got to represent your state. You should be so proud.
Or the reaction is
slap on the wrist.
Or the reaction might be, I didn't have a good race today. I'll be back for the next one. Whereas
that's it.
Here, there might not be a next one.
Yeah, there might not be a next one, and you might not be able to race. As Ben's story, he didn't get to race Vichy. And I remembered we all had. I think Josh was the only one that didn't have a shitter. Josh was the only one that had a great race. He bet me, he got like 3 or 4 spots ahead of me. And I was so pissed off that Josh bet me. Like, I was so mad because, like, he's one of my best mates, and you don't want your best mate to beat you in any sport. And I remember Zane had a shitter. He was on our bike. His fucking front wheel exploded. So
yeah.
his wheel got crushed and he crashed. Carswell just had a stinker. Cross didn't even get to race. He brought his gear and everything just for them to say no.
Just
So
in
he
case.
traveled halfway across France, to get told, nah, you're all right. We'll see you next time. So
Yeah,
we're all had a very bitter taste in our mouth. And like I said, you got 6-7 hours to burn off in the car. You get to voice what your opinions and what you're saying in your mind.
it
And
depends a
we
bit.
had a lot to say and a lot to just go, wow, we just got our asses handed to us. We think getting the top 15 at an Oceania Champs or a school sport nationals is any good. Think again, you come to France, you can't even get a top 50 in a Div 2 race. So that's the level. And I think I went to bed that night and went, all right, my spot's on the line. I'm not going to let some little French kid get a spot over me, and I have to go to Vichy and watch Chris race and feel sorry for myself. So I went, these next 3 weeks, just got to be consistent, got to be ready for it, and just full throttle.
And I think to your credit, you actually these sorts of things can go one or two ways usually. You can either get the shits with it and pull the pin, or have it throw yourself a little pity party, or you can sort of pull your socks up and lock in, and which is the way you went. And I think there was even decisions made around cancelling other races we were looking at doing, like local club races, and just to focus on the training and getting things right for the Vichy race.
Yeah, because I remembered there was the local race that we're all going to do, and we were all going to see if we could all get a podium and get some cash here or there. And I remembered Zane was like, "Who's signing up?" And I was like, "Mate, there's no chance we're signing up. I might not even be allowed to race Vichy next one. I got to lock in and show Loic, the boss man at Rance, that I'm the package that they want." And it's just the fact that I've come all this way from Tassie, like so many hours of travel just to get there. I was like, I'm not just gonna go to Vichy and just watch everyone race. I want to be on the start line there, and I want to put my best foot forward. So I remembered I put together a really good 3-week block. I was loving it. The training was easy. Got some really good exposure and was able to get the stimulus right. I was adapting to the heat really well, and for a skinny, pasty white boy from Alderson, Tasmania, I think it's pretty hard to do when you're in Grenoble in the mountains and it's like 35 plus degrees. So it was good, and just the training there was great. So, I mean, it's not every day you get to train with Dorian Koenigs, right? So I thought that was pretty sick.
Speaking of like the training there, like the people to train with, and the environment and that, and thinking about like the level over there, how did you find the track sessions? We did a couple, 2 or 3 track sessions with the local team.
Yeah, they were. If it wasn't for that swim session with Dorian Koenigs' squad, I would have said the 2 track sessions that I did with the Eschirol's boys were the cherry on top when it came to the training. Like the Eschirol's team is the team that Josh Fletcher and Zane Galea race for. It is this tiny team. It's in Grenoble, but it's a little suburb in subdivision in Grenoble called Eschirol's. They've got not even 6 athletes. They've got 5 athletes, probably only 4 now that Josh and Zane can't race for them. So they're this tiny little team. They've only just been promoted up to Division 2 from being in Division 3 last year. So, and their best athlete had left them to go race for a Div 1 team, Emil. And so there was five of them, 2 or 3 others that were just from Eschirol's but raced for different teams. These guys, none of them are close to reaching the standard of racing for France, and they killed us every single day. They put us to the sword, and they just were like, "Oh, we run 14:35, no problem. FTP of 4:20, no problem. We go, up the ways, we go run up there, no problem." And I was just like, these guys are superhuman, and none of them are even close to getting a WTCS or a Euro Cup start.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, hey? They can't even get a start under their national flag.
Yeah, so these guys were killing us every day in the pool, on the run, and my run's my strength. So I thought, if I can hang with these guys on a couple of the sessions, I think I'm doing pretty well. And I remembered it was the last session before going into Vichy. I ran with Emil, who's the main guy there. He runs 14:20 20, I think, for 5K, and then he runs like 15 mid off the block. And I remember he was coming off the back of that Gravelines race that Cooper did, and he got fourth there. And there was this other guy named Augustine or something who was like a French runner. He runs like 13 mid for 5K. So me and Carswell did the session with them. I think I lasted a round. I think the session was like, it was like 2 800s broken up and then like 6 200s at race pace. And I remember they were doing the 200s, I think like 28s or 29s, and I just went, holy crap, I'm about to blow up here, and it's only the first round. And like I remember the week prior to that, I was able to run with Emil and Louis and Crud, and I thought, yeah, I could be on here. Like, I'm running really well. And then you come to training and you just get your ass given to you. Like, these guys are just so good. They're so disciplined. They're so used to it, and the depth and just how they operate as a group, it's unmatched.
And
you would look at the Escherol's group,
I remember how, like you said, Emil, he was like a 14-20 runner, and he would obviously lead the sessions and that sort of thing, like on the front.
Yeah.
And then that last session, that random guy, Augustine, turned up, and he's like, "Oh, August, he runs 29:30, 10K."
Yeah, runs this.
Just like there's no shortage of people to come and kick your ass.
No shortage of people, that can just go out there and just clip you on the track. And I remember after that session, I was so rinsed. I was so tired, and I just it was crazy. And they were really going for it. That session, I remember Emil and Augustine, they were like, they fully put it to the limit, and so for it to be like for them, like they're class athletes, and their training environment is just so it's just amazing, and just I don't know, it's just the way that it's different, and just the way that they operate, and the fact that they're at such a good level. You would think that if Emil was to race for Australia, he'd be he'd be categorized. He'd be one of the top performing Australians, but because he's French, there's no chance he'd get a French start. There's no chance. There's no chance he'd ever race for France.
And how many French coaches, did they have at the track telling them what to do?
Zero.
None.
There was only we had the French coach that we saw at the pool. What was his name? Sebastian.
Sebastian, yeah.
He was the French coach. He was the only one we saw, and they do all their running and riding all together, and Sebastian just lets them do what they want, lets them freestyle it. And I think what is so cool about it is that Sebastian just knows how good his athletes are. He can go, all right, trek session 5 p.m. tonight. I won't see you there. You guys just do it. Put it on Training Peaks, and I'll put it in for you guys.
And it's not like the athletes. They had the plan and they had their zones and everything. But it's not like because there was one there where they just had to run 1200 and then 200s off the back or something, but the 1200s were sort of zone 3 or something. But it's not like they went and tried to run those 1200s at crazy paces for them. They knew how to control and how to follow the plan.
And that's what I think, just seeing, because at home I train on my own. I swim with a squad, but all my running and riding is on my own. So whenever I get the opportunity to run and ride with a group, it's really cool, and I like to see how it is. But seeing it from how the French do it, it was an eye opener, and just to see the depth that those boys have and just how good they are. And then you go, these guys aren't even the top performing French. This Escherol's team is on the border of getting relegated back to Div 3.
Yeah.
But these athletes are just so good. And they all have day jobs. None of them are full-time athletes. They all have a job. They all are either studying or they have a job. I remembered
Baptiste.
What's the name? Yeah, no, it wasn't Baptiste. It was, what's his name? It was the one that Fletch had to stay with before going home. Mail, that was it. He was really cool. I remember we got up to him and was like, so what training you do today? He's like, oh no, it was just my first session. I just come back from 9-hour work shift. And then he started laughing hysterically to us. I went, holy crap, this guy runs 14:45 and he's got a day job. It's
exactly.
It's crazy. So the training there was absolutely amazing. Riding up Alpe d'Huez with Cooper and Ali and you as well, that was sick. That was one of the best days ever on the bike for me. That was such a sick ride, and seeing everything. And Chamarus was really cool as well. Those two rides was great. Grenoble, there is no shortage of mountains and like historical rides that you can ride up, and like you get to ride on the same roads as Tom Pidcock and all these Tour de France legends get to ride up on, and this is their backyard. So it was sick. I think those 4 weeks there were absolutely amazing.
And so you're locked in after that first race, and you got to Vichy. How did that turn out?
Yeah, that was So that race, I remembered like when Loic was drilling it into me, it was like our best athlete, Adam Fouchard. He's coming back off the back of it, a brilliant result in Holton. If I choose you to race, you got to perform for him. He's our prized athlete. I was like, holy crap! Now I got to perform because the LeBron James of Stade de is in town. The Neymar of this place, the king of France. Like they treated him like he was a king.
Well, he was third in the under-23 nationals, so he's pretty good.
Yeah, he is very, very good. Adam is very good. Very funny guy. I'm sure I'll be seeing him next year. Class athlete, very cool guy. So me and Chris arrive, again, it's like 30 million degrees. We arrive in Vichy. The course is nothing like it was in Albi. No riding over cobbles and monuments and running up a castle. It was very similar to... I'd say it was kind of similar to AGPT Port Adelaide, if anyone remembers that, or Devonport, in the case that the run course was flat and fast, and the swim was like in the main lake in Vichy. So it was a relatively more normal, more Australian type of course, but still everything's on the other side of the road. There's still, you've got 100 million bodies around you, so it was crazy. And I remember me and Chris got there, hyped as we got to share a room with the Belgian beast, Wannes Ares, one of the other international athletes, and we shared a bond for how weird the French are. I got there and I was like to Wannes, do you have the key? No, the French took it off me. I was like, where's our key then? I don't know. And then we had to search around the whole hotel trying to find our key, and we had like 10 minutes to get ready for dinner. And got our key, got everything sorted. And that's the other thing. The French are so unorganized. You think that everything in Australia is unorganized? Go to France. Everything is just run at like 5 kilometers an hour. Everything is so slow. We got ready for dinner, and Adam was down there, and I was just like, where is everyone? He's just like, oh, everyone take forever. And then he laughs and he goes, you Australians have got to get used to the French and just how lazy and tired we are, because we take forever. And I go, I've lived here for 4 weeks. So I've gotten a good gist of how slow you guys take everything. So that dinner there was really good. It was really cool. And Vichy is the landscape of Grenoble is that we were in Oblak. We were in the scary we were in the trenches of France. We were in a metropolis of France. We were in, I think, the second most dangerous city in France. We all came down unscathed. But when you come to Vichy, it's like small town France. Like everything is really French. You got like all these nice buildings, cobble streets.
Way more traditional, hey?
Yeah, way more traditional, and it felt more European. And yeah, it was really cool. The streets were nice, and I think just the buzz around it was really nice. And I think the reason why I liked Vichy more is that because it was the second stage, not as many people was there. It wasn't as chaotic. Like, it's still chaotic, but I was used to the fact that everything was chaotic, and you just got to roll with it and get used to it.
Yeah.
But because you could sense that, hell, it's this race, they've done it here before. The course is a bit easier. There's not as many people. You can kind of relax and just go with the flow a little bit more instead of going, where's my staff? Where's the coach? Where are the athletes? Where's this? Where's that? You can get into a more of a rhythm and get more calm before race day. And I feel the more calm you are before race day, the better you are to perform. And because I remembered every night when you're with a French team, you do a, what do you call it? You just have like a massive team meetup with the team director and talk tactics. And I remembered, because Loic can't speak English, he got Adam to translate because Diego wasn't there at the time. So we're all sitting outside, all of us sitting there talking about what the race will entail tomorrow and what the game plan is. I remembered Loic, it was like, where are we ranked in the boys? And I go, 5th. And he goes, you know your stuff. And he goes, Jack, you got to perform, mate. Oh, oh no, here we go again. I was about to get my
Yeah, that
ass
was
rinsed
coming.
before the race. Yep, I was going to get, yeah, I knew it was coming. Thanks for coming. Then he goes, you perform for me today, boy. I mean, tomorrow. He's like, you don't, you're done. And then he's just like, you don't do stupid dive. And the week, no, it was like a week prior to coming to Vichy, Crud race halted and he sadly DNF'd. And he looks to Crud, he goes, you better finish the race. It was just crazy. I was just looking at Crud, I was just like, this guy has no chill. He's just having a massive crack at the Aussies.
What did
And
Adam call him?
yeah. Adam, I beg your pardon?
What did Adam call Loic?
He called him Rambo. He says he's Rambo. He's a crazy guy. And that's like the whole sense around it is that they've got this crazy team director that wants pure performance. And he's like to the girls. I think they had more pressure than we did. He was like, girls must win this race. And because the girls in Albi were sitting second, it was like to his daughter, Liv, comes first out of the water. Like he's got it all pre-prepared before the race. Liv comes first out of the water. And he was like to the two other friends, I think it was Aaron. Aaron sits on the bike. Aaron waits for the bike to end. Aaron runs up and wins the race. I'm just thinking, you don't know this is going to happen, mate. And it's just he's got this all pre-planned in his head. Yeah. And it was just crazy. And then I remember the boys, there was me, one is Adam, Crud, and one of the other Frenchies. And then there was another French athlete that was racing for himself. So with these French races, you've got 5 people, but a team can put in like 2 or 3 other athletes for their team, but they race solely for themselves. They don't contribute to any points. That's why the race starts at like 90 to 100 people. So this other French athlete who's racing for us, but is also not racing for us, he's got nothing to lose. He can go out there and win it, but it won't matter. So he's there sitting there and he's just like, he's just going to fully just go for it. He's not going to contribute to any of the team things. And I remembered Adam's like, we all need a good swim. We all need to come out of the water, front pack, and we need to lead the front pack going into transition. And I was just thinking, this is a hefty ask, mate, but all right, let's go for it. Let's fully send it. And I remembered I was like, the one is, you're Belgian. You got to lead us through. It's like, okay, I take the bike. I go, vroom, vroom. We fucking go. I went, all right, fucking go. And we were all hyped up the day before, and we got there, and everyone was ready. And I just remembered Adam, like before the race, was like, "We go Rambo. We are going to go. We're going to get this." And he's like, "Do you know any swear words in French?" I went, "Shit." He goes, "How do you say it?" "Meowed." "We're not going to be meowed. We are going to win. We're going to do it for Rambo." I went, "Holy moly!" Do it for Rambo. And yeah, so the race goes decent swim.
What was your performance brief? What was your placing goal?
My placing goal, he said what was it? I think he just said, "Don't have a shit dive," and show him. And he was just like, "Show me why I picked you." And I was just like, "All right, you want it, mate? I'm going to give you the bread and butter." So I remember decent swim, and I think Adam was like saying before the race as well. We're all about transitions. We're all about having fast, slick transitions because transitions can really matter. And I just thought, well, it's such a long run up to transition. It was like 200, 300 meters. It was like a 2XU transition. It was so long. So I just remembered sprinted the transition, got to the bike. I think I was like second or third Rams athlete to the bike, hopped on with Crud, and then it was just full bowls to the wall for 20 Ks. I remember there was a gap from Adam because he was like first out of the water for our group and he was drilling it. And then I remembered I had to fully bridge up to the front group, and we had this massive peloton for 20 Ks just fully going. And when in Australia, I put this in perspective as Napier. I remembered we had like nearly 30 people in that group, and we're all just riding. It was all comfortable riding. This one, I was full flat gas, like 400 something odd watts the entire ride, just trying to hold a wheel. And I'm like mid pack in the peloton, just trying to hold a wheel, and you've got bodies all around you, nudging people, you're trying to stay upright, you got people swearing and screaming at you. And because it's along this bridge, everything is so quick and so like, you got to think quick, and the corners were crazy, and the roads weren't as nicer as they were in Albi. I remember there's just potholes galore along the bridge and along the main road, so you got to be ready for that. And just, yeah, it was a lot more of a harder ride, I felt, because this group was so much more motivated. There was only like I think it was Jack Crome and like 4 or 5 other people up the road. So we thought we can catch them. We can really do. We didn't, but the motivation was there, and it was just a harder ride. And we were all centralized at the front. So I remembered when we'd go past Loic in the French, the Rans van, they'd be like, yeah. And there was just all the parents later around. I could see you and Ali out there as well, and it was the ride was a lot harder, a lot more technical, and yeah, and then onto the run. I mean, I guess,
So Albi, I think you finished about 56th or 54th or something. How did you place in Vichy?
I was 20th at Vichy. Yeah, one of my best results probably of my career thus far. Like a Div 2 French Grand Prix, 20th. Pretty happy with that. There was Paul Jules-Antoine, Ren Sato, some other Japanese athletes that I remember that were there. Some WTCS World Cup level athletes in this race. Erwin van der Planke, they were there. Some class athletes were in this race, and to be tussling around with them, I mean, it gives you so much confidence, and you're just like, wow, you're in Europe, you're racing against these.
It's a great way to finish the tour.
Yeah, exactly. And I remembered I ran well. I executed the race. I was like, wow, second Rance athlete. I scored points on the board. I was only 3 or 4 positions behind Adam, the king of Rance.
Yes.
Good bloke. I thought it was a good day out. We all ran well. I remember Crud had a decent race, and he pulled hard on the bike. He did really well for the team. And Loic, I got the thumbs up. I got the green light from Loic. I was like, bang. I don't have to worry about getting my head.
And he loved your oven mitts at the end.
Yeah, and I gave him these Aussie oven mitts for saying thanks for having me, thanks for having me on, and hope to see you next year. He's like, oh, you and Chris, you come back next year. You are coming back next year. You get to train with us.
Yeah,
they invited me and Chris back, and I was like to Chris, mate, done. We've got what we came for. We came here for experience, to get connections, and we got what we came here, and we'll be there next year. So
nice. And
Chris, if you're watching this, we got to get ready for France, mate.
That's a good segue into probably the last bit. I know I've been going for a bit, so we'll sort of try and get to the I guess the outside of the racing stuff. But as you mentioned, there connections. So some people might not fully understand some of the purposes of why we did this French tour. Obviously, it was the racing, the experience, and the understanding and everything. But there's also probably the term I've started to come up with is keeping yourself viable in the sport beyond high school.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
Talk to us briefly about how the connections with the French, also the connections you made with the Scottish athletes from your youth games experience. How did that help you, I guess, financially, logistically, whatever, to be able to actually be in Europe and stay there for the amount of time you needed to?
So I think ultimately when you get the green light from the director of a French team, they go, we want you back. You go, awesome, sweet. I'm basically going to have a spot guaranteed to come back to France next year, and I get to train with the French again. So then that gives you motivation to go, right, I'm going to save up money again so I can come back and help the team out and do more French racing and keep building. And that's the idea from now. I'm first year out of high school. I'm going to be first year under 23. I'm going to be at the bottom of the food chain. So these next couple of years are going to be building up to get as much experience and to gain as much knowledge and as much positive, I guess, result and experiences as much as I possibly can. So then whilst I'm still in the sport, I can then in my last years as under 23s go, I can make it to the elite, because under 23, you either make it or you don't. So I feel now that I've made these connections and I know these people now, it just gives me so much more motivation to then go, I can come back to Europe. I can save up this money from work. I can put all this time and effort for training and racing in Australia to then put it to go towards Europe and feel confident that I can perform. And then if you can perform in Europe, you can give yourself the confidence to then go, I belong in this sport. I belong in this game, and I belong at this level. And when you get, for me, a top 20 at Vichy, it's a decent result. It's not the creme de la creme, don't get me wrong, but when you're able to go and race overseas and you're at this age, at this age, this certain point in your career, and then for them to say that they want you back, it gives you the biggest confidence boost, and you go, damn, I can be here, I can be at this position. I'll come back next year. I'll see you there, and let's just go for it. And I think the problem in Australia is that everyone gets so caught up in junior racing, and there's just no pathway after. Like, I've had so many mates. I'll speak. One of my best mates, Alex Smith, he races for South Australia. He used to, but now he rides for a semi-pro velo team in South Australia. Triathlon was his life. It was just like me. I'd go over to Adelaide, spend time with him. And we're just like, we're gonna make it. We're gonna get categorized. All this. I remember he finished his last year, and he was just like, "What now? There's nothing. I can't swim. I can't run. I'm having issues with my back. The only thing I can do is ride. I'm gonna go straight to cycling." And it's been that case with so many athletes. They will go, "I can't swim. I can't run," or they can do the whole thing, and they'll just go, "I've got no support from Tri Australia. I don't have any money. I don't have any leeway to continue in the sport. Why would I?" And I didn't want that to happen to myself. I want to stay in this sport. I want to make this a career of mine, and I want to see how far I can take it. But when you're an athlete that has the same mindset as me, but you don't have money behind you, not saying that I do, but when you don't have any finance, you don't have any backing, you don't have any you don't have any backing from a federation, sponsorship, all that stuff that is very critical, and there's a leeway for you to go to Europe and to race at high elite level. If you don't have any of that, it's just like, why would you even bother? And that's the problem that I think in Australia, that we need to figure out, or that athletes need to find a way to try and cure or find a leeway to help support themselves. Like, I'm not saying drop out of doing uni and go get a job like I've done and just use all that money to go to Europe, but there's other ways I feel that can be manageable for up and coming juniors that are then going into under 23, that can then go, I can still race at a high level, and I can still feel comfortable that I've got the leeway to then go and race these races, not just like in Europe, obviously, but like to then, like, say you could go race Oceania champs in New Zealand, you could go do standard champs in Devonport or something like that. I just feel the more older you get, the more people drop out. Like,
like exactly right.
I could name so many people that I've raced over the years that aren't in the sport anymore and are out doing either cycling, riding, cycling, swimming, and running all individually, or they fully have gone to the textbooks or are doing something different. So, and
I'm sort of like, I'm in one sense, I'm happy to like hear you talk about these things, because part of what I've called since the tour is like it's a French pathway, right? We're offering a pathway, like you said. It keeps you motivated. It gives you something next to strive for. And like you said, once you're in with a team, you've got support,
exposure and all that. That's what you want.
Whether it's support, they drive you to a race, they pay for your licenses. You get 2 races that didn't cost you anything.
That's it. Accommodation, dinner, all that.
Accommodation, food. And then also, you were unique in a way that you had connections with the Scottish training centre through your participation at youth com games. So that allowed you to stay. Like, you talk us quickly through that. Like, how did that allow you to stay another month in Europe?
So when I raced youth games, I got really close to one of the other boys on the podium. His name's Alex Robin. He races for Scotland. He's a very good athlete, very up and coming in the British scene. He's very good, one of my best mates. And I remember at youth games when we had finished all the racing, and I said, "Mate, I got to see you again. Like, we got to train. Like, we got to get something going." He's like, "Yeah, I know, but you live so far away and there's nothing going on." And I was just like, "Mate, I'll make it happen. I'll tell you. I'll get a job. I'll get money. We'll plan it and all this stuff." And we had this idea for like 2 years that I'd come to Scotland and I'd train with him and his brother and their squad, and we'd just race and train together. And I remembered it was when I first got picked up by Rams. I went, "I've got this money. I want to spend it all. I've got these connections, and I've got this idea in the back of my head that, hell, I want to go train with Alex and I want to go see him. It's been 2 years. It's been so long." I just message him. I go, "Hey mate, I'm going to be in Europe. I'm going to be in France. Was hoping that I could see you. I was thinking that after France, I could come to Scotland. The flight seemed cheap. It's not a far away. Just like, yeah, mate, sick. And when I first met him, he was living in Glasgow with his family, but he is now moved and is training at the University of Stirling, which is the main training performance centre for Scottish athletes, but it's also linked with the uni. So it's really cool. He was like, yeah, you can definitely come. Just tell me the days that you'll be in here. You can stay with our house. We've got what was it? Like a flat, like a home share that we have in Stirling. It's right next to the university, right next to the centre. So just come stay with us for a few weeks. You'll be right. All you need to do is just pay for your own food, and we'll be able to pick you up to and from and take you everywhere. And I was just like, sick, great. That's another month to add to Europe. So I went and trained and lived over there for 3 weeks with the boys. It was so fun, and sharing a house with them, and it just felt like I was back in France, but just with the Scottish boys. And seeing Alex after a 2-year hiatus and being able to train with him and the boys, and with a new training squad again, comparing it to the French, comparing it back to the training squad that I have at home, it's pretty cool. And just to see how they operate, and sure, the weather's not great, pretty similar to what I have back here in Tassie, but felt that the culture in Scotland was very similar to Australia, and I think just the Brits and the Aussies, we all get along so well because we're all so similar. So I felt right at home, and it was great. Really loved it.
And now off the back of that, you finished with that Tabor Junior World Triathlon Cup race. Yeah, you had another good result there. I think it was 15th overall.
That's it.
And I think did your mate win it, Robin?
Yeah, no. So another mate from
and you've got a story, and I want to remind you, you've got a story to tell for that as well. So I'll let you do that.
So I remembered when I was in France, I was thinking, cool, I've got all my stuff sorted to go to Scotland. I'm not going to do a massive 3-week training block in Scotland and then just go home. That'd be stupid. So remember, I looked around World Triathlon for dates that I was in Scotland to try and do a Euro Cup, and I went, oh, that one looks all right. Tabor, Czech Republic. I knew that a couple of athletes had raced it prior, like Toby Powers and that. So I thought, why not finish training in Scotland, go to race Tabor, spend a week there, race there, then shit, I've got no money left in the bank account. Let's fly home. So I remember by the time it just all linked well. I thought, brilliant, finish in France, 3-week training camp in Scotland, and then use the training that I got from Scotland, put it into a Euro Cup, last race, go back home, done. It'd be sick. It'd be another good race experience to see what it's like at a European Cup level. I hadn't raced one, and I thought, hell, why not? I've got the money, I've got the experience. You know, I want to try and get better. I want to see how I fare. And I remembered another good buddy from Commonwealth Games, Luke Holmes. He was doing the race. I messaged him and went, "Hey mate, I'm coming to race. Was wondering if I could bunker down with you, and haven't seen each other in a while. Thought we could catch up." He was like, "Yep, mate, sick. Let's do it." So ended up arranging accommodation with him at the hotel, the race hotel there. Spent a couple of nights with him. It was so fun. You know, he's a really good mate of mine. We got along really well, and we just had a really fun time in the Czech Republic. He got the win. I got a top 15. It was a really cool experience racing there, and I think just the Czech Republic, it's so different. Like, it's basically Eastern Europe. It's a Slavic country, post-Soviet Union, Yugoslavia, all that. So it's very, very, very different to Australia, less or more France and Scotland. So that's what leads me to my story. Actually, could you just give it? So this story that I'm about to tell, it actually has nothing to do with racing. It has everything to do but racing.
This is like living and travel getting around kind of Europe. Yeah. So these are the extra things you have to prepare for as a Aussie going overseas. Hey.
So I think just from the standpoint that I think what the Aussies get wrong is that they go, sick, you get to go to Europe, you get to have all this stuff paid for, you get to go race in these cool countries, and you get to race the best of the best. No, mate, it's very far from the truth. All my money I've had to hard earn on my own and pay my own leeway and get it all sorted. So I remember I was in Scotland looking at flights. My flights were Edinburgh to Frankfurt, Frankfurt to Munich, Munich to Prague. That's 3 countries in one day. That's 4 major cities in one day. Lucky Europe's all small, so they're only tiny flights, but I woke up 2 a.m, got in the car with Alex, drove to Edinburgh Airport, drowsy as hell, and like I remember just traveling internationally. It's a different beast. Everything like you just got to look for gates. It's all in different languages. There's thousands and thousands of people. I'm trying to get this bike bag around, trying to make sure it doesn't over exceed the weight, so I don't have to give the airplane people another 500 euros for overweight baggage, and just trying to get around everywhere. It's a bit harder. The security's a lot longer. You got to show your passport, get through all that. And I absolutely just hate travel. Like it's just so hard and nerve-wracking and demanding, and yeah, it takes a lot out of you sometimes, especially when you're going from Australia to Europe. It takes a lot out of you. And I remember I arrived in Frankfurt, an uncontrollable factor. They couldn't get us off the plane into the actual airport for people to go to their connecting flights because they didn't have a bus to take the people from the plane to the airport. So I missed my connecting flight. And for my first time traveling internationally, I shat the bed. I was like, I'm in this random airport in Frankfurt, Germany. None of the signs are in English. I don't know what to do. I called my mum. It was like 3 a.m. in the morning, and mum's like, fuck. And I was just like, what do I do? And she's just go to a help desk. So I went to the help desk, tried to figure all that out, got a new flight paid for. All that was fine. I was getting into Prague a little bit later. And the couple of days before, I told Luke, I'm arriving here at this time. Then I'll meet you in Tabor at this time, wherever. And he's like, yep, sick, sound, see you there. Message him, I go, hey, mate, I've missed my connecting flight. I'm currently in Frankfurt. I'll see you later. And he goes, yeah, shit, I'm in a delay too. I'll meet you at this time. And somehow, by the grace of God, a miracle, we ended up meeting in Prague at the exact same time. So I waited a little bit longer in Germany. Yeah, it all ended up working out in a way. Got my bike bag, everything. And the Prague airport, it was really like tiny and there was no one there. And it was and like everything was like, it was like the French, like everything was unorganized and no one could speak English. And I was like trying to find my bike bag. They were like, oh, we'll bring it to the hotel tomorrow. No, you won't. I can see it over there. You just brought it out 10 minutes late. I saw it get deloaded off the plane. Like, okay, sign here. Yep, sure, whatever. Then I see Luke at the other terminal, like, hey, mate, how are you? And then we're just like, all right, let's get to Tabor. It's like an hour away from Prague. We're trying to read all the signs. Nothing's in English. It's all in Slavic scribble language. And we just hop on this bus from the plane. We go, all right, we'll try and find it. We fully side quested Prague, like around the whole city for the entire afternoon, trying to find some sort of train or bus or anything that would take us to Tabor. And I remembered we finally found the major train station in Prague, and we're trying to get everything, rush to try and find the gate, and we didn't even pay for a ticket. And we got on last second, the last train to get to Tabor. I was thinking we'd have to stay the night in Prague and sleep on the floor or something. Like we got on, and what saved us getting on was that I put my bike bag when the door was closing, and my bike bag closing the door was from me not going to Tabor to Luke going, and we got on. We were just like, we made it, sweating, and didn't have a ticket. We got screamed at for not having a ticket.
It's almost like a rite of passage for Australians, those kind of travel stories, I think. So I think you got the full experience.
Yeah, I was just running around the entire city trying to find where to go. We got into Tabor at like 11 in the afternoon. I was like, well, that was a travel day. Yeah. So, yeah, just something that you can't get traveling around Australia. It's just another one of those crazy travel stories when you're in Europe. It's another
consideration when you're planning your trips to Europe, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember Dad was like, maybe next time don't go for the cheapest option, just go for the more direct option.
Yeah.
So I think I learned a lot from just like that with travel and just being responsible and trying to get all the logistics of it, because it's hard work when I feel like you're on your own and you're trying to navigate it all yourself for the first time. So I feel I'm all the better for it now, but at the time it definitely scared me a bit. But
and again, like
stories now.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's good to talk about these things and make people aware. But until you're there and you're having to make those decisions, then that's probably when it really sinks in for people.
And that's like what you said. Like they're just like, oh, how was it and all this? You got to see it for yourself. You got to go and experience what it's like and see just how it all runs and what you get yourself into. Like you can't explain it to the point that
Yeah.
People can't feel and see what you went through.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to explain. Easier
Yeah.
just to go and do it.
Yeah,
Just
that's
put
it. That's
yourself
it,
in the
basically.
fire and see how you fare.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Hey, look, mate, that's like an awesome in-depth chat. I hope people get a lot from it, and might be one of those pods that people just have to listen to over a couple of days, and hopefully go from start to finish. And again, we could keep going
Long
for
ride.
another hour. We could keep going for another hour or two, I reckon. There's so much
With
stuff.
all the stories. Yeah, there was so much to tell, but there's only a few stories I feel that could make this that are significant to the topic and that what people need to listen to. And then there's like a couple funny ones here or there, but 2 months away in Europe, there's too much to tell. So I feel the ones that we've said now are the more important ones. So I guess if you're on like your long ride or your training or you've got nothing to do, whack on the pod and listen to us jamble on about living in Europe for 2 months, eh?
Yeah. All right, mate. Well, any final words before we wrap this up?
I'd say, first of all, thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure. It's been really fun. But I'd say that for any athlete that is thinking that they want to get better and up their game and wants to have a long longevity in this sport, is as soon as you can get the opportunity to go and race abroad, take it. It doesn't matter if it's in Europe, if it's in New Zealand, if it's in Asia, if it's in bloody Africa. If you get the opportunity to go race abroad, you get to experience what it's like getting there, around the racing against athletes from a different country, making connections with athletes from a different country, the exposure, the actual race itself. You'll be a better athlete and a better person by the end of it. That's all I have to say for it.
Nice, mate. Key points hit, I reckon.
Yeah.
All right. We'll catch you next time, dude. I'll just.
Yep. Too easy. Thanks for having me.